Hey folks, and welcome to Drinking Alone with Friends, a podcast where three friends drink alone together. My name's Chris.
What up? It's Tud.
And I'm Obert. And today we got a special guest for you guys.
Yes, we have Paul Pirner from the Hairless Dog joining us live today on the podcast. I know it's a pre-recorded podcast, but it is always live for us. Paul, how's it going?
It's going fantastic, guys. How you doing? Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Paul, has anybody ever told you have a voice for radio? You got a beautiful podcast voice. I don't know. I might get voted off this show. You might be a new co-host.
I appreciate that. Well, if you're ever looking for somebody, I'm here for you.
There we go.
So Paul, just quickly tell the listeners, what your brewery is and a little bit about the background.
Sure. Thanks. My co-founder and I, Jeff, are old friends, and we went our separate ways when we started having kids, and we ended up finding each other again at a party, and we were the only two in the room without drinks in our hands, and kind of looked at each other and went, I see what's going on here. And we ended up meeting the next day for coffee, and I had left my first career to raise my kids. I was a stay-at-home dad, and I had been homebrewing for a whole bunch of years, and I didn't have any professional brewery experience or anything like that, but background in restaurant and culinary, and I was a wine writer for a while, and so I just really loved the whole aspect of winemaking and beer making and food and wine and everything like that, and it very much was a social activity for me. And so when I started, taking care of the kids and staying at home, and I reached a certain age, my priorities flipped around a little bit, and I decided that, in order to be a good example and do the things that I wanted to do, I decided that, I felt really good when I wasn't drinking, and so I started going down that path. But all of my people were still out in the bars, and right, and everything, and I grew up as a craft beer lover. Around here we've got Summit, we've got Surly, and all these other really great breweries that have been around for a long time that kind of defined beer for me. And when I stopped drinking alcohol, what was available was, this was 2017, 2016 in that area. The beers that were available were the beers that gave NA beer a bad name.
Not
to rip on anybody, but right, it's got a reputation for a reason, right? And so Jeff and I got together, and we were kind of talking that out, and we're both very social people, and so much of what we do as people is done in pubs and at parties, and happy hour is called a happy hour for a reason. That's and you hear all of the productivity that's lost when people are stuck away to COVID because they can't get out and just relax. So there's a deeper thing to it there that we feel like we were kind of being excluded from just because we didn't have something that we wanted to go out and drink. It came with a certain badge of honor to walk into a party with a 6-pack of O'Douls, because people look at you and go, wow, man, what car full of nuns did you drive your car into last night? And that just wasn't the case. And it got to be a point where it just wasn't worth going out anymore. And so we just decided to make our own. And like I said, we didn't really have a whole bunch of experience walking into this. And we just kind of started and failed and won and lost, and it's still growing, and here we are today. And so now we've got 3 styles on the market, like you're saying. We've got an IPA, we've got a black ale, which is my favorite, and that's the one that I kind of perfected over in homebrewing and then moved over into the NA world first. And then we also have a Citra Lager, which is a lighter bodied one, and that's kind of our core 3 that we're really working on cranking out. And then this coming year, we have a whole lot more in store. And so that's kind of where we are right now. We're a very small brewery that started off, with very simple means, and there's still less than 10 of us, but we're pushing as hard as we can, and I'm super proud of the people that I'm working with.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. That's great. It's funny, like, as 3 craft beer lovers, clearly a lot of things we do revolve around craft beer. Having it socially. I have a Twitch stream where I drink beer on stream and stuff like that. So it's like, last night I had a few beers, and, I did not feel great this morning, and I was talking to my wife, and I was like, oh, we're doing the Hairless Dog tonight. And I'm actually super excited because this is like exactly what I need right now. It's like
fantastic.
It's like so it's all zero for those of you at home. Hairless Dog, 0.0% ABV, so absolutely no alcohol. Very, very awesome.
Correct. I apologize. You're hearing my dog, who does have hair in the background there. Just working at home.
No worries. All pets are welcome on this podcast.
Yes.
As well.
Excellent.
Yes.
You'll probably see my cat flying around in the background.
Wonderful.
So.
But yeah, I like your slogan, "Party like there's a tomorrow." I feel like that's what Chris needed last night.
I did. I did.
That is, that was that we came up with that tagline early on as kind of a way to, to describe the decisions that we, like you're saying, we're not anti-alcohol or anything like that. We want to go out and hang out in bars because that's where all the fun stuff is. That's kind of where we started off with, and the concept of party like there's a tomorrow was where we were at. It's like we wanted to be able to party longer, and we wanted more people to be able to stay longer and have a deeper conversation than just kind of stumbling over each other, because we'd spent 20 years doing that, and so.
Right.
Now that we still wanted all of the social aspects of it. We still wanted the full body craft beer aspects of it. We still wanted all the hops. We still wanted the, again, the full body, the head, and all of those things that really do go into appreciating a craft beer. We just didn't want the alcohol. And so it's been a long journey to get there. And like you said, we're 0.0, and that was the method that came through as being, returning the best results for us. And that's what we're keeping. We're going to keep on that trend as we keep going.
So I know that we didn't talk about this at the top, but so you're located in Minneapolis.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit. Do you have a tap room? Do you, or a brewery to go to? Where are you distributed to? How far is your reach? Obviously, we're scattered around the country. So Chris is in North Carolina. I'm up in Connecticut, and Ober is out in Montana. So we're a countrywide podcast.
You're all over the place. Yeah. We are located in our corporate offices are in Minneapolis. We do not have a brewery, and we do not have a tap room. We have a contract brewing situation going on. And we are, let's see, right now we've got 13 distributors in 26 states, plus Total Wine and Bevmo distributing us nationally.
Oh,
so we're pretty much in all 50 states at this point.
Oh, that's awesome. So I could hopefully go down to my Total Wine and be able to find you on the shelves.
You should be able to, yeah. And anybody who wants to look at their local liquor stores, we have a store finder on our website at drinkhairlessdog.com. Just look for the store finder, and it'll tell you everybody in your neighborhood who carries us.
Oh, that's
and
so
we are
cool.
trying to build out our distributor network too. So yeah,
Feel
free to request it.
Yeah. Now, Paul, I have a ton of questions, but I also am staring at these beers we got to drink. So why don't Ted, you play us in, and Paul, why don't you pick out a good place for us to start?
Let's do it. Why don't we start with the Citra Lager, which is kind of the lightest body, and we'll build from there into the heavier one, which is the black ale.
I'm not gonna lie, the black ale I'm excited for. That one sounds really good. So let's go.
I can't wait to hear what you think about it. Like I said, that's my personal baby, and probably the most. Well, we'll get to that. So the Citra Lager itself is based on a lager body, but it's got a hop structure that's probably a little bit more like an ale. So it's kind of a hybrid to a certain extent, and then it's got some Citra hops on the tail end that's kind of punctuated by a little calamansi. And so the idea there is you get a lighter bodied, brighter NA experience that still has that mouthfeel and still has the head retention and all of the other things that you're looking for.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
That smells
really good. I see what you're saying about the head retention. Looks really good. Yeah, you get a ton of that hop aroma right away.
I will say, smelling this beer, it reminds you, and a lot of our listeners will know, but if you walk into that brewery, it smells like that, like the hops and the malts and stuff that you smell walking into a brewery.
Yeah, it smells like a traditional brewery.
It's nice.
I
like it.
This beer smells like brewing.
Yeah, well, it's it. Our process is we make a regular beer and we leave as much in there as we can. We, as opposed to other companies that make a beer and then take the alcohol out through one of there's probably about 8 methods now that people are using. Other things get stripped out with that on the molecular level, and so you lose that mouthfeel, and you lose the head retention, and you lose the body, and you lose those other things, and you kind of tend to. Everything is has gotten a lot better over the last 2 years in the industry, but it used to be like the best you were hoping for was kind of a beer flavored seltzer water, and we really wanted to deliver a craft beer experience.
So all three of us here have tried our hands at home brewing before.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've talked about it.
Good for you.
It is always fun. It
is.
And we've talked about the process here on the podcast multiple times. So how do you brew this and then keep the alcohol out? So you brew it like a normal beer, but how are you when you go through the fermentation process? How are you not getting alcohol?
That's exactly it. Is we don't ferment.
Oh,
There there's the big secret right there. If you don't create alcohol, you don't have to take it out. And you get to leave all the other stuff in there that comes along with it. And then there's a bunch of proprietary stuff that we do that kind of takes out the unfermented sugars and other stuff like that. So that,
okay.
Right. And we came at it from a position of, instead of, a traditional brewer would, like a baker, kind of takes elements and, you put them in the kettle or you put them in the oven and then you kind of wait for a while and it's supposed to do its thing and it comes out and it's either good or it's bad. And we kind of came at that from the opposite direction, which was, let's talk about a beer that we really love and what makes that so great. And then let's go back at it that way, And so that's what we keep trying to, we start with the end product and go, what makes a really great, lager drinking experience? What makes it a really great IPA experience? What makes it really great, whatever experience it is? And then, my R&D guy, Wes, who is a flat out genius and has a culinary background and so can turn flavors up and down like sliders and, really kind of gets into the whole aspect of it through a brewing lens. It's just it's a really fascinating process to watch him build these things up.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask the same question, Tud, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
because I think every time I've brewed, I've tried that wort at the end of the boil, and I'm always like, this is way too sweet. So to hear that you're doing everything, but you're stripping the sugars out is interesting.
Yeah, yep. And, like anything else, you can control what goes in, you can control what goes out, and you spend a whole bunch of time looking at spreadsheets, and you dump a whole bunch of bad stuff, and eventually you come up with something that works. Yeah. But
Very
we are,
cool.
like you say, we are the only company on the market still doing it that way. As you well know, there are other people who have 0.0 on their label, but if you look close, we're regulated by the FDA, which, as you know, it's a food product like Coke or Pepsi or any of those other things. And anybody who ferments and therefore creates alcohol and therefore has to take out alcohol and therefore still has alcohol in it is regulated by the TTB.
Yeah, because I was wondering. I don't know much about non-alcoholic beer, but I've always heard that it's never truly 0.0. Most of the bigger ones you see on the market, like the O'Douls, like you had mentioned. So, but that's very interesting, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, the more legacy brands, they use a vacuum distillation process, and the chemistry of that is the long story here is that NA beer in America came to be because of Prohibition. And, so many people worked in brewing and so much of the economy was based on these big giant brewers that they went, you can't shut us down. And the government said, all right, we'll come up with something. And so the lowest that they could get is 0.5% because the chemistry is just such that once you ferment and you bond with the technology that they had, at hand back then, it couldn't get down below 0.5%. And the government said, that's a NA beer for us then, as long as we can tax it, as long as we can tax it and put it through all that good stuff, that's good. And everybody keeps their jobs. And so that's why we got what we got here. And then, Prohibition went away and everybody went back to regular beer and the NA beer kind of stayed in the, dusty corner of the cooler that wasn't, and so nobody put any money in to improve it or anything like that for a long, long time. Meanwhile, overseas, Germany, France, Spain, all of these countries that also have a brewing tradition, but that goes on for thousands of years instead of hundreds of years. If you walk into a bar in Spain, there's 2 or 3 NA beers on tap, and it's more a part of their culture.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a completely different way of viewing it, and so the American NA beer industry is unique, and its history is very unique from the rest of it.
That's
kind of
really
makes sense with the fact that we just had that random decade about a century ago where people couldn't drink alcohol. But,
right.
But yeah, to get to this Citra Lager, like you said, it definitely feels more like an ale in terms of that hot. Unless you're talking like an India Pale Lager. This definitely feels like much more of a hoppy beer than you normally find in most lagers. So
yeah, we designed it just a little bit differently, I think, and when it came out like it did, we were like, well, we got to leave it as is. So, and we had built it, like I said, off the lager chassis, and we just decided to kind of go with a hybrid. And one of the challenges that we faced was, we want people to know what they're reaching for. We didn't want to use some kind of funky name that didn't mean something. We wanted somebody to look at it and go, that's a lager. I want to drink a lager.
Right. Yeah, it's really, really crisp. I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I'm almost done with my little kit, and I won't feel bad about it later.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
you can have a whole bunch, indeed. Thank you.
But yeah, no. But I'm really crisp, really nice. I really am enjoying this. It's lager is one of those types of beers we talk about all the time, especially the big name lagers that you see. They're all can be the same. and this is definitely not that. So it's very good, very crisp. I like it. Big fan.
I get a lot of that Citra juiciness for sure.
Yeah, that's as close as we get to like a juice, a milkshake IPA.
Listen, I don't think it's all that far off. I mean, you definitely get a lot of those citrus flavors, and I get a little like lemon flavor too, which I find really refreshing, especially right now during the summer. This is definitely something to cool down with after like a day of working in the yard.
Yeah, that's our lawnmower beer for sure. Yep.
It's a day clearing debris from a hurricane out of your yard, or what?
Oh,
that hurricane was a dud. Nothing ever happened of it.
Wasn't a good hurricane.
I tell you what, I was worried we were gonna have to reschedule this interview again when I saw it was coming through. I was like, oh man, Ted's not gonna be able to record. He's gonna be out of power for a week. So I'm happy to hear. Did you lose it at all, or no?
No, not a single second.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you guys about that. I got family in Philly and friends in Jersey, and I'm glad to hear you guys are okay.
Yeah,
how about Todd? How about your parents? Are they still out, or are they back?
They were out yesterday, but I think by now they're all back. I think Rhode Island got hit the worst, and that's just because it kind of veered off to the east right at the very end that nobody was really expecting.
Yeah. So Paul, I think most of our listeners know this, but the three of us all grew up on the same street. So so Ted's parents are 3 houses down from mine, and my parents lost power for like 6-10 hours, something like that. But they're like, yeah, it was kind of a dud. So I was happy to hear when I saw the path of the storm was like kind of right to them. It's like, okay,
right?
But
well, I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
Tracy, you all grew up together, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
We all
Did y'all
started,
go to school together? Nothing?
Oh yeah, elementary school all the way through high school.
Yep.
And then stayed in touch through college. I mean, Obert only went to school like 5 miles from where Chris and I went to college. So.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And then we just me and Obert moved away like within a month of each other about 3 years ago.
We all split up and we decided we're going to start a podcast, drinking beer, and keep in touch.
Good on you.
So, yeah.
Right on.
We've been having a lot of fun with it, for sure.
I love the show. I listened to a few before I came on, so I get a little view of it. And I got to tell you, I just love it. So well done. Congratulations, you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So jumping back into the brewing process for a second. So you say you contract brew.
Yes.
How does that work? Obviously, you're brewing on equipment that they're brewing other alcoholic beers with. So is there a process that you guys have to go through to like sterilize the tanks? Do you have your own tanks? I just have to imagine that there's a potential chance of cross-contamination during that process that probably takes a little bit of work on your guys' end.
There's an extraordinary. You nailed one of our big challenges. Yeah, in any facility that has yeast flying all over it. Coming up with a product at the end of it. Because yeast, if you put a glass of sugar in front of yeast, it's going to infect it. So it's a challenge. We are fortunate that we work with some really great brewers, and as you guys know, the brewing industry is, I hate to use this word, but metastasizing, so you can't just have a brewery anymore really that makes just beer. It's really hard to do, and so they're all branching out into other seltzers and everything else that's going through those places, and a lot of them are making juices and other things, and so they're very in tune to what's going on in their facilities. And but the short answer is yes, we've spent a lot of money on labs and a lot of money on tests and a lot of money on processes, figuring out exactly what needs to be done in each place. And we now have an recipe, I should say. I'm sorry, I forget where I am sometimes. That can transfer to just about any brewery at this point. And so as we view our expansion plans here, again, the R&D department has been working really hard on making sure that we can get the quality and consistency we need no matter where we go.
Awesome.
Nice. I have to ask, have you tried brewing these beers with yeast to see how they also developed?
I have. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, right now my guy Wes is brewing the IPA with yeast in his spooky lab right now, just to see if he can try something out. But yeah, we do on occasion. We brew with various other things just to see what happens and see if there's something there that we can discover and then reverse engineer. because of our process in making the NA version of all of these things and all of the changes that we have to make. Because in a regular brewing process, the whole concept of the boil and all of that stuff is to prepare the liquid for the yeast and the yeast reaction. And because we don't have a yeast reaction, we prepare our liquid differently. And so it's hard to say there's an exact amalgam, but I would love to one of these days make one with the goal being to be able to put them side by side and put them in front of somebody and say which one's which. Because I think you could get close enough. We have in tastings and liquor stores and things like that, we'll often hold our thumb over the 0.0 on the can. And if people would just come up and do tastings, if we don't tell them it's an NA beer, probably a good 40 to 50% of the time they'll guess it's got alcohol in it. And some will even guess it's up to 6%, just because it's such a, your brain gets triggered into thinking that's a beer experience that I'm getting here. And if you can get them to not focus on the fact that it's a non-alcoholic, because that's kind of a stigma, they'll enjoy it.
Yeah. That's funny. It's like you said, your brain plays tricks on you, but I mean, side by side, I don't think I can really tell much of a difference.
No.
Can I hire you and bring you into the into the marketing department?
Sure. Yes.
Yes. Done.
I'll do your radio voiceovers and you do my promos.
There we go. Perfect. Yes.
Perfect.
We got it. No. I mean, I knew it was non-alcoholic, and to be fair, I haven't had many non-alcoholic beers, but it was very smooth. That's probably the one takeaway that may have tipped it off, was it was super smooth. But I've had a lot of beers that are super smooth that you don't have, that have alcohol in them. I don't know. It was extremely good. I'm excited. I don't know how you guys. I'm ready for the next one. How about you guys?
Yeah, let's dig in. So right. Should we?
Awesome.
Paul, go over the IPA. Is that the one you recommend we go to next?
Well, nice. Let's do the IPA next, and that is our, of course, that's our bestseller. Just like with anybody's IPA,
right?
It is a very traditional IPA structure in terms of its malt and its hops. It should be very familiar in that regard, with a little bit again of the Citra hop on the end. And the dry hop, just to really kind of punctuate a little bit.
Now, okay, real quick before we get into this IPA, do you lager the lager?
We do not lager the lager.
I was going to say, because if there's no activity going on, right?
That is the first time that I have heard that question. Technically, we do not lager the lager. No, okay. No.
So this comparing the Citra Lager to the IPA, what should we be noticing the differences?
You should be noticing a little bit of a darker body. You should be noticing a little bit more of a full body, maybe just a touch more of sweet, but not a lot. You should be noticing probably not as, because there's more body to it, the hops may not punctuate as much as they do in the lager, even though I want to say the IBU level is about the same. It doesn't have that citrus punch at the end that the Citra Lager did, and it behaves. It behaves. It should meet the expectation of an IPA, I guess, is the best way of putting it, more than the Citra Lager, which is going to be a little bit more of a face.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely get sweeter notes out of this IPA. I don't know about you guys.
I picked it up from the nose, just straight away.
I like it. This is...
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's got that nice little... I get a little bit of tanginess out of it too, which I like.
Yep.
That hop bite, yeah.
Well, not even that, a little bit like a...
It's like zingy.
Yeah, zingy. Because it's not sour. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's
no.
Yeah, zingy. There's a little bit of pop there that I like a lot.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of a bite in the background there, and where the bittering hop is kind of catching onto a couple of things that accentuate back in there. Yeah, we use a ton of bittering hop in this one, and not so much on the front edge. We're trying to balance between, just an over the top, punchy in the face hop bomb that. To be honest with you, is what I just love. I'm a big fan of super over the top kind of things, and I've been moderated by my partner and my R&D guy. And so this is kind of where we've landed in this. We still want it to be definitely an IPA, but it not so challenging that you have to be a real specialist, or I hate to use this term, but beer nerd to get into it.
Yeah,
more accessible. How about that?
There you go. Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's much like again, very smooth, but there's that bittering that you were talking about is just right on the edge, and the tinginess, I don't know, zinginess that Tud was talking about. It's really, really solid. And I like it because it's not necessarily like, I don't know, when I think of like a tradition, I guess when I think about like a traditional IPA, I think a lot more pine and a lot more of those kind of earthy flavors. I don't get that as much out of this. It's definitely way more of the citrusy, not juice bomb. It's not a juice bomb by any means, but
more East Coast than West Coast, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
True.
Yeah.
Yep. I would agree with you there. And without giving away any more secrets, we're in the process of. But I like you guys so much. Just for you, my friends. Don't tell anybody.
We'll keep it between the four of us.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Don't tell anybody. I told you this. But we're going through some process improvements and everything like that, and I'm really excited by what the IPA is about to achieve here. What you're tasting right now is we're very proud of that, and I think, and I don't want to hesitate to do these things because you're never really sure when it's going to hit the market, but I think what we've discovered here is going to take it up even one more level, and we're really excited to see where that goes.
That is exciting.
Ooh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's
like a teaser trailer.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Stay tuned for IPA
Exactly.
2.0.
So what type of hop are you using as your bittering hop in this?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Because my guy Wes is messing with that right now. But the bittering hop in that one, that's a Cascade.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then we move up into Amarillo and Simcoe, and then we dry hop with a little bit of Centennial.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
The funny thing about these beers is like they're non-alcoholic beers, but they're made for people who love craft beer, people who when you told them the hop profile, that would mean something to them.
Yeah.
You can really appreciate the complexity of all the work that goes into these products.
I mean, eventually what we want to do is we want to get to the same point that any kind of super cool, craft brewer gets to, where you get people standing in line for your new limited releases, and everybody gets out, because people who like craft beer but don't want the alcohol, they want that experience too, and so it's cool, it's fun, it's like you guys know, craft beer, it's not just a drink, it's fun. You get into it, you read about it, you learn about all this stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And
we start a podcast
we
about
be
it.
able to provide that. Well, there you go, right? Right. So, yeah, and we kind of want to provide all of those same experiences to people who still want all of the craft beer, but just, for one reason or the other, whether they're pregnant or have enough kids, or you just wake up one morning and you're like, good God, I can't do this anymore. Everything else about it is awesome. And so that's what we're trying to bring.
Yeah. Well, and I like the idea of just mixing it in with my alcoholic beers,
Yeah.
instead of drinking, too many and having to, call a cab to get home. You could just mix up, and like you said, the party doesn't have to end. You can keep partying and do it in a more sustainable way.
Originally, one of the reasons that we did the black ale first is, like I was saying earlier, there's a beer around here called Surly Furious that to me was one of the greatest beers ever made. And I wanted to be able to have an NA beer that I could drink after I drank that one and still taste it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. We do differentiate from just about everybody else in the NA side, and just because we occupy that big deep place there, where we want to hang out with those dudes. There's space for everybody these days, which is great. But those are our people,
and those are good people. Those are the people that that's what's going to help get this everywhere. Is that these?
Yeah.
I've had some competitors before, and they don't taste like beer. This definitely tastes like beer.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah. I was talking to my wife earlier, and I've told this to a million people. You sound like you have a problem when people are like, well, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, beer. And it's like, and they're like, oh, okay. Do you need help? Is there a problem? No. I just love beer. Like you were saying, it's interesting. Yeah. It's fun. I love going to the breweries. I love talking to brewers. I love doing all this stuff. And so it is really nice to be able to have all of those amazing tastes, amazing conversations, and not die.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You notice nobody ever asks that of a wine writer. Nobody goes, "Oh, do you have a problem?"
Right? Yeah.
know?
Right.
That's
You know what I
true,
mean?
yeah.
It's a beer thing, man.
It
It
is.
is.
It is.
Yeah, you can be a total soak as a wine drinker, and everybody thinks you're classy.
Yeah.
Love it.
Right. I'm not. I don't have a problem.
No,
I'm not drinking.
No, I'm having dinner. Yeah.
I'm having 6. It's called a tasting, and it's classy. Oh man, but yeah, this IPA is very good. I'm a big fan.
I really like
Yeah.
this. I'm having a toss up
Appreciate it.
with myself of which one I like better so far, the Citra Lager or the IPA. I think the IPA is winning. But if you asked me,
For me, it's the Citra Lager. I like that one. I like that one a little bit more. I think I like the citrusy juiciness of it.
Yeah.
now I do have to ask a question. I've seen this a little bit before, and as somebody who's always trying to work on my figure a little bit here, do we have a calorie count on?
Oh
this?
yeah, it's on the side of the can here.
I don't see it on the. Am I blind?
Well, it's silver
there.
on neon, so you
Oh,
gotta
I'm blind.
hold it to the
Okay.
light just
Yeah.
right.
One of the pleasures of being regulated by the FDA is we have to put all of our nutritional information on our cans, as opposed to a beer who can just do that. But no, we do have that's 70 calories in the IPA, and then oh god, I can't even remember what is it? It's 80 in the black ale and the Citra.
Yeah, I
because
think
I've been
it's,
looking at spreadsheets all day. I apologize.
70 on the Citra, 80 on
There we
the
go.
on the IPA.
There we go. You got
Yeah.
it right.
And we got 80 on the black too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so there, we don't try to necessarily compete on calories because there are people out there who are putting out these ridiculously low calorie counts in cans, and we're all about our flavor and about our mouthfeel and all of the other things that the lower calorie count does come along with what we do, but we're focused on the flavor and the experience.
And that's a benefit too. I mean, one thing about drinking some of these beers out there, that there's some breweries out there that add so much adjuncts into their stouts that without realizing it, you could be drinking a 1,500 calorie beer. Mm-hmm. And then if you had this on the side, you could be like, well, I can have that, and then I can have a few of these that kind of I'm not gonna.
Right?
I've already blown out my calories with one beer, but at least I'm not gonna go way over.
It's almost like exercising.
It's pretty much the amount of times you have
12-ounce
to
curl.
lift it to drink it. Yeah. It's probably more than 80. Trust us, we're not scientists.
Right. Play one on a podcast though.
All right, should we maybe move over to this black ale? This is
Yes.
Paul's
Yes,
favorite,
please.
right?
This is to me, this is probably the most unorthodox and challenging and all this other fun stuff. A black ale isn't something that's really common in the United States to that palate, and that's one of the reasons why why it was so appealing to me when I started making it on the alcoholic side. Is I wanted to have something that was different out of my homebrew kit, and then when we moved over, again, our label, our brand is about being different from what else is going on out there in the NA world, and this black ale that is a big full-bodied experience, but it's not a stout. It doesn't kind of fit into a box yet. Was kind of a natural draw, and I just, like I said, it's my baby, and every time they try to kill it and it keeps coming back, I just laugh and laugh and laugh.
No, I mean, I don't have. You don't see them very often, but every time I do, I have to get a black ale, black IPA, black whatever it may be. You don't again. You said they're not big in America right now. America,
I'm
get
with
on
you.
board. America, right in. Why aren't you good at beer?
Right?
I every time. All right.
Yeah, a lot of those toasty, roasty malts on the nose for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of smells. It kind of smells a little stoutish. I like it.
It does have we have a seasonal coffee stout that's coming out that differentiates a little bit, but the black ale here, it's got a little acidulated grain in it just to kind of again bring that just a little bit of something out so it doesn't taste flabby, but then it's got the caramel and it's got the chocolate malt in it, and it's got some black malt in it to bring it down, and then again the Centennial right on the top to kind of bring it back into that a little bit more of a familiar American style.
Oh, I really like this. I think I might have a new favorite. I noticed I've gone every time I've got a new one, it's become my new favorite. This is
Awesome. I got to hang out with you guys more often.
There you go. See. Oh, this coffee stout. You got us hooked on this seasonal coffee stout now. Okay,
I know, right? We haven't even had it yet.
Yeah, we had it on the market for a long time, and we just it moved out of season, and we just haven't. I don't think it's going to make it back this year because we're focusing on the black ale. But coming around in the next cold season, up here, cold seasons last a long time up here in Minnesota. So who knows?
I know, you gotta enjoy summer while we can, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but
the truth.
like we said, I got more roasty malt notes, but then when I take a sip, it's definitely very sweet.
Yeah. I like that.
Like
Yep.
you said, it's not a robust porter or stout. It's definitely
No.
Definitely not a stout. You can definitely tell.
Nope.
Yeah, you could definitely like you said, and if you guys pay attention to the Instagram, you might see a couple pictures. But it pours. It's dark. It had a nice big frothy head and everything. So you may be surprised, but no, definitely not a stout. It's extremely good. I like it. I like it a lot. Wow.
Thank you.
Man, I'm telling you. If you're out there and you are looking to maybe add something a little bit lighter or all the way light into your repertoire, check these guys out if you can find them, because they are all really, really, really good.
Yeah. So, Paul, are these all force carbonated? Is that how you get the head in there?
Yep.
I'm surprised.
Yep, they are.
When I would expect something like that to be a lot fizzier and, like you said, not have this long-lasting head. But it's like looks like mug root beer by the head I have on this one right here. It's hanging around.
It's one of the advantages of not having to, de-alcoholize is you don't break down the cell structure that all of those things can, can stay suspended in for longer. That's one of the reasons that in a lot of other non-alcoholic beers and in pops and things like that, they have the bigger bubbles that disappear faster. The cell matrix isn't there to hold all of that in and kind of let it do its thing. And that's one of the reasons why we chose to go 0-0 and with the structure that we did.
That's awesome.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Paul, I'm looking at your room that you're in, and I know that the listeners can't see this, but I can describe the room that he's in a little bit. You've got some pictures, and you've got all your cans up on the wall. Now,
yes,
I notice a few that I don't know what they are. Can you fill us in on those?
Yes, I can. So nobody can see this, so I'll do a description here. But there's the kind of our blue black ale 6-pack case there, and then the red one is our coffee stout. Those are, I believe, the last 2 remaining 6-packs that aren't in a store somewhere. And you see the Citra Lager up on top. The bottom in the middle there with just the lighter green with just the stripe off the middle of it with the white bottom is what we're calling our legacy artwork, and that's what's out in the market right now. And then you can kind of see up here above that red case. I'll bring this over a little bit closer for you to see. So this is another thing that we're really excited about. We've got new packaging that's going to be coming out.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Ideally, right in time for the holidays, we're gonna refresh all of our packaging lines somewhere in there. Again, you hate to say these things because then, it's the things that used to take 2 weeks now take 8 weeks. Right? And then way up there on top that you see on the in the bottles there, these are our old. There's the original, the very first black ale to ever come out.
Okay. I was wondering what was in the bottles.
Yeah. We used to produce in bottles a couple iterations ago, but as you move up into as you get a little bigger and you want to ship things, shipping a bottle is asking for it. So we moved into cans.
Know about that firsthand.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. E-commerce is a big side of our business, and so we had to acquiesce to that. Maybe someday we'll get back into the bottles, but for right now, I think we're going to be in cans for a while.
Yeah, and I like your logo too. You got a dog here with looks like some barley in its mouth with a star above it, right? Is that?
Yeah. If you look closely at it and then you put it next to a map, you'll notice that the dog's shape is an echo of the state of Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
So the star up there is the North Star.
Oh, cool. I had a feeling there was more to the story behind this can, so that's pretty neat.
That's awesome. She did really great work with that. Yeah, we like that logo. We're super proud to be from Minneapolis too. It is a very advanced beer culture up here, and so one of the advantages of having this as our backyard is. It's like having a hockey team out here. If you're going to put it in front of people, they know good hockey and they know good beer. And so it better be good or they're going to let you know it. And so we get a lot of really great feedback from our friends and family, and then not friends and family who aren't afraid to let us know. So it's a nice environment to be in. Yeah.
So speaking of the beer culture of Minneapolis, how overall has the city embraced, or I guess if the answer is not embraced, how have they embraced or not embraced the non-alcoholic beer that's, it's really good coming from their city?
Well, we do really well around here. There are, as you can imagine, you swing a stick around here, you probably hit 8-9 breweries, and a certain portion of them are trying various non-alcoholic things in order to get people to come out to the tap rooms. That got constricted a little bit, of course, by COVID. And we happened to be in packages right away. We didn't have to transition from a tap room into packaging, so we were on the store shelves right away. So when everybody, ran into the liquor stores and then figured out that they were drinking 9 hours a day and needed something else, we were already there. So we have had a really, really good response from our local crowd here, and then also in Wisconsin. And you want to talk about some people who know their beer and like their beer over there. That's, that was one of the places where we were like, all right, we got to be careful about how we do this here. But the response has been really great in the upper Midwest in general. And I got to be honest with you, the East Coast has just been kind of exploding for us. And we are planning some West Coast expansion here probably in the next year, as we're seeing some hot spots popping up on our heat map here and there. That'll finally justify a move over there. And I'm a West Coast guy, so I can't wait to introduce everybody out there.
Very neat. It sounds like it's just taken off everywhere for the most part.
It is. When we started back in 2017, there just weren't a lot of NA beers out there. There certainly weren't. I want to say we were probably one of the first, NA craft beers, that differentiator there. And now over the last 2 years, we've seen so many competitors come into the market, and we kind of saw that coming to a certain extent. But I use the term competitors loosely because we do so much work for each other in terms of education. That's the beautiful part about being in this corner of the beer industry, is that, guys like a lot about beer. I mean, it's, you lifestyle it, and we can walk into a place like this and have a conversation like this, and there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot that nobody has thought about before, just because, like I said before, for so long, nobody paid attention to it. And now suddenly, the NA beers are improving in their quality, and they're improving in their reach, and distributors have to respond to that because people are asking for it. So the quality keeps going up and up and up. And I just see the industry as a whole really kind of gaining some traction here and really exploding over the next 3 years.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm sure you guys are anxious to get back to some brew fests,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they've resumed in Minneapolis or not, but...
Our big thing here is the state fair. The Minnesota State Fair is this big giant affair, and that is they are like everybody else, they're having trouble hiring people. But I think if we can make it through that, I think then everybody's really going to be back in the streets doing everything crazy, because then it gets cold real fast, and nobody around here stays. Seriously, man, there's like fall around here, nobody stays indoors, and then it turns like 20 degrees overnight, and nobody goes outside. So
yeah, I've been to the city before, and I've seen those. Do you guys have a fancy name for them? They're just like the sky. They call them Skyways.
Skyway, yeah. It's a replacement song. Yeah,
I think that those are just so cool. Like, because also being from the Northeast where it gets cold here, we don't have those. And every time I was in Minneapolis, I was jealous. I was like, I wish Hartford had these things.
I can't remember who it was, but some comedian came to town and described them as habit trails, or like hamster trails for humans. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's a skyway that's completely covered and heated that's on the second story of all the buildings downtown. So if you wanted to walk from one end of downtown Minneapolis to the other, you do it totally inside, elevated 2 stories above the street through these glass skyways, and it's kind of a cool experience, but it's a little bit weird if you haven't seen it before.
That's really cool. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I live where it doesn't ever get that cold, but,
Well, if you guys ever want to come to town, I'm more than happy to show you around. We can you walk around and drink Hairless Dog in the skyways, and nobody can bug you.
Yeah.
That's true,
I was going to say is there's
There
a
we
lot
go.
of advantages with the non-alcoholic beer, right?
Yeah.
You can
It's
drink
got
it
its
anywhere.
upsides.
And
Yep.
what, I ran into this when I was driving through your beautiful state recently. I was trying to buy some beer, but I was driving through the state after like 8 p.m. on a Sunday or something like that.
Yeah.
So you could
Yeah.
you could get Hairless Dog probably then.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Yep.
You can't.
Yeah, the blue laws around here are pretty pretty legendary.
Yeah.
The Lutherans, the old habits die hard. We had to print 3. There's just a goofy. My wife is from Philadelphia, and she has this story about where she came to town. And in Philadelphia, they have no. The beer rules are completely different. But she came here. She moved in, and this is before she met me, and moved all of her stuff into her apartment and went to the bar and asked for some beer to take out. And the bar, you can't do that here. You can't take beer from a bar. And the bartender looks at her and goes, "No." And she was just so frustrated because she didn't understand what the hell was going on. And so she's like, "All right, so can I go to the liquor store? And where's the nearest liquor store?" And he goes, "It's after 8:00. The liquor stores are closed." And she goes, "All right, can I go to the grocery store?" And he goes, "Well, you could go pick up some 3.2. And if you're not familiar with 3.2 beer, 3.2% alcohol beer, I'd want to say here in like Utah were the last 2 places where they sold it. And it's just a super low ABV beer, but you had the stamp does not contain more than 3.2% ABV on top of that. And that was the only beer that you could sell on Sundays or in gas stations around here. Grocery stores.
Yeah. And is it still that way? Can you buy beer on Sundays now? Or
Oh, yeah. The Super Bowl came to town and everything changed, baby.
Oh, okay.
All of a sudden the bars are open till 4 and yeah.
It's weird what the NFL and money will do to
Isn't
the
it?
area.
Isn't it? Yep. Yeah.
But you can also ship it. You can mail it out without the restrictions you have on alcohol, which is kind of cool.
Exactly. Yeah, there are a lot of advantages in that regard. We were able to get that going quickly, and we continue. It's probably about 30% of our business at this point. One of the advantages is we can ship to everybody, like you're saying. But for other people for whom it's not convenient, we can get it right to them.
Yeah, that is one thing. Living in Montana, there's like very few people who are willing to ship here, especially the restrictions on alcohol. So it is cool. That is a cool advantage that I don't have with most other of those beer delivery type things.
So where do you see, over the next, obviously the beer industry is rapidly changing and growing, and I think you had it perfectly earlier, metastasizing.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going in the next, year, 2 years, 5 years,
In general?
I mean, I guess you could be as general as you want or as specific as you want.
Sure. I mean, if I were to kind of just read the tea leaves a little bit, I think you're probably going to see beer continue to lose a little bit of share to what's being called beyond beer now. The seltzers and all that other stuff. Yep. As and it seems to be kind of a generational thing at this point. Here in our world, we're looking at that stuff and kind of trying to determine how we're going to meet our next generation of drinker where they are when that happens. And so we're looking at everything that people are drinking, and we're looking at the state of the industry as it is and how it's changing and how the generations coming up are affecting all of that and the flavors. But I think you're just going to see things kind of stay steady in the beer land. I think you're going to see craft beer continue to expand as a unique offering, and I think you're going to see ironically you would think with the way that the economy is going, you would think that the lower non-premium beers would really boom, but I think you're going to see more super premium and premium beers do better in the market as people kind of become seltzer drinkers or not seltzer drinkers, and beer drinkers and not beer drinkers for a little while here.
That's interesting. Yeah, and you mentioned, and I guess it just when you guys are looking for something that you're hoping to make NA or whatever it may be, now do you just pay attention to trends and like, oh, IPAs are huge, so we're going to try and make an IPA, or do you just kind of know what's going to work or think what's going to work and tool it that way? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I get it. Yeah, it's a good question. Probably the core here, the black ale, the IPA, and the Citra were things that that Jeff and I wanted to have in a bar that weren't there. Okay. Things that we wanted to have to drink when we went out, and we're hoping that this would just be successful enough for long enough that when we went out to bars, we would be able to order something that we'd like to drink.
That's a great reason to start a business right there.
Right. As we roll out more, we're going to have a series of LTOs and other options coming out in the next year and change here. We've got a really aggressive release schedule, and again, Wes over in our R&D department has been working really, really hard on this. There are things that work better with our process and things that don't work quite as good with our process. And so we do tend to go with the things that produce the best result with our process. But I don't think that we are so trend sensitive that we won't do something if we think it's good. We do what we think is good, and we want to be different. We want to stand out. We want to differentiate ourselves, and so we tend not to follow the crowd where they're going, and we tend to not look at trends and look at sales numbers and then automatically go, oh, okay, right now we need to figure out how to make a milkshake stout.
Yeah.
We're sticking to our guns to a certain extent. We're going to be who we are. And so there will be times where those meet up with trends, of course. But I think probably what we will do is we will produce the best us that we can. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, clearly you're doing a great job. So, hats
appreciate
off.
that.
But, it's interesting that I don't know. It's very interesting how this is going to fit into the beer market. And, I mean, you guys are doing extremely well. So,
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I trust me, I'm a believer.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any, how to word this? Do you have any nightmare stories that you can share with us? Like something that you really wanted to brew, you tried it, and it just absolutely like flopped. Like I'm thinking like off the top of my head would be like a barley wine, but
I got a lot of them actually. I tried to make a lemongrass lime leaf kind of a rice beer once that I was going to try to do a really light kind of delicate thing, and I totally misunderstood how it was going to work, and the carboy blew up.
Oh no!
That was and that
Yikes.
caused quite a mess. And right. And we have dumped plenty of beer when it didn't come out right because we experiment a lot. But the nightmare scenarios are always when something like chemically goes wrong, and I still have a hole, much to my wife's dismay, in the ceiling of my basement where where the problem that we talked about, and this is another one of the reasons why we don't produce in bottles for a while, the beer inside of a bottle that had been force carbonated started to ferment because it had been infected with yeast. And this is a very early lesson because I got cut pretty good by an exploding bottle. But the bottle cap blew off when I just put it down on the countertop. I just set it down, and that was enough to agitate it. And the bottle cap blew off with enough force that it went through the sheetrock ceiling.
oh yikes!
Right? Yeah, and so that if I would have been looking down at it when that would have happened, that would have been a pretty sizable nightmare. So yeah, stuff like that probably goes big into the nightmare scenario. There's been plenty of other situations where you try an ingredient that you think is just going to be brilliant, like fennel seed, and then you realize that you just made yourself a big puddle of carbonated licorice that just nobody's going to like.
Right.
Right. But you do try to learn everything you can because that's a flavor that nobody else is going to have, and so maybe someday you'll go, oh, licorice would work there. I know how to do that now.
Yeah, it's all about expanding your palate, right?
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet, but I cling to my knowledge. Yeah.
Now, when you brew something like a fennel seed beer, do you end up drinking it all yourself, or are you just like,
Yes.
pour this down the drain?
I usually will feel so bad and not want to waste it that I'll end up drinking it myself and go, you guys are crazy. This is delicious.
That's my biggest fear about homebrewing is, you brew this 5-gallon batch of beer, and for you guys, obviously much bigger, and then you're stuck with it, even, for good or for bad.
Yeah. That's... Yes. It's like making your own chocolate chip cookie that doesn't come out quite right or just gets burnt. You eat it because it's yours.
Yeah. You made it,
and you made it.
And it's like
you
gotta
that's
just
the thing.
enjoy it for what it is.
And if you want to toss it out, you can, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. Just remember what you did so you don't do it again. But don't be afraid to try it, and don't be because it takes a while. And
yeah, Ted, I think you just need to be home brewing in 1-gallon batches. Maybe that's your solution.
Ooh, there you go.
I moved on to that for exactly that reason, because you can do 5 of them at the same time in the same amount of space in the same amount of time.
Yeah, for me, 5 gallons, it's like by the time you're done, you're like, I'm just so sick of it. I'm ready to move on to the next one,
Right? Yeah. Yeah, unless you're having a party. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Come drink my beer party. That's why it's good to be friends with homebrewers, right?
Yes.
That's the best part about when people come over. They're always like, hey, do you have some beer? And I'm like, yeah. By the way, here's a glass. There's a tap over there on the wall. Have fun. Drink as much as you want. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, go crazy. Now,
Drain
it's up to them whether they like it or not.
I've already had 3 gallons of this, please.
Right. Exactly. No, seriously, help yourself. Yeah.
Here, you want to growl it or go to?
So I want to know what everybody's final verdict is. Which one's your everybody's favorites?
Mine's the black ale. I really, really like the black ale.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the Citra Lager. I like that one a lot. I think that for me would be my go-to. Like I said, I really like that, just that juicy, fruity, lemony deliciousness.
I can't like them all. I guess I got to pick a favorite. I really,
no, you can like them all. You just, which one do you like more than the other ones?
Yeah.
So
true.
I think I'm with Ober. I think I like the Citra Lager the best because I can see it fitting into a lot more places, where I would want to drink it, like, mowing the lawn or working out in the yard or if it's a hot day. But in the winter, I might like this black ale better. But yeah, I think for the moment, the Citra Lager is my favorite.
Well, I just agree with all of your choices.
They're all
You guys
amazing.
are brilliant. Yes, amazing choices. Yes.
It's so smart. Oh goodness. No, they're but they're all very, very good. So, wow. It's hard to believe that they're 0.0%. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't
I
have
agree.
guessed. I
did not expect this when we were going to have a non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, you guys. That's awfully. It's very, very nice of you and very gratifying to hear.
Yeah, for me, so I think how it'll fit into my lifestyle is I always, I don't like to drink every night of the week. And I'm like, but when I go back to edit the podcasts and I listen to myself and my buddies drinking a beer, I'm like, this would go really good with a beer. But now I've been reaching for the hairless dogs instead. And I think that kind of fills that niche for me a little bit.
There you go.
Tuesday night, I got to work tomorrow. Hairless dog and edit a podcast. Sounds fun.
There you go.
Now I might be able to get a little bit more hashtag Tudfit as well.
No, it'll be fun. I'm excited to bring them onto the stream and see what my viewers think too, because there's a lot of beer heads in there too. So
Yeah.
But I'd be like, oh, it's a 0% one. Haha, Beer Dad got you. How about that? But no, it was they're all very good. I'm excited. I want to try. I'm gonna have to look for these the coffee stouts when they come back out.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna have a whole bunch of new stuff coming out in this new year. That we're, again, I hate to keep saying we're really excited about, but we're very excited. We've had these things in development for a while now, and we're about to start, kind of unleashing them. And I keep talking about Wes in the R&D department. He's kind of holding them back a little bit because if he had his way, we'd release one every other week. So. But like you say, the drinking occasions, it really does kind of influence what you're looking for and what tastes great. And so we want to be there for the occasions. We want to have a lawnmower beer, and we want to have all of the other things that, an October beer, and we want to have all of those beers that everybody has in every other part of their life. We want to be there, and that's kind of what we're looking to do here.
I think you've intrigued me with this Oktoberfest beer.
Well, that would be a heck of a feat to pull that one off by this October, but stay tuned.
We're already setting up the tent over here.
Yeah.
Ironically, it is a style that translates very well to our method.
I could see that. The black ale does have a lot of those same notes of those caramel flavors for sure.
You can see
that working really
things.
quite well.
Yeah. The Belgian styles, those also kind of work in well. Those naturally bigger, heavier, kind of unusual beers really do translate well.
What's the hardest to translate over?
The hardest to translate over is a Budweiser.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, you were talking about the lemongrass rice ale, and it's like, ooh, man, you can't hide much there.
That's the thing, right? Right? Yeah. Yep. The less there is there, the more there's. The guy. Oh, he invented Impossible Burger, and I was listening to an interview with him, and he said something really smart, which is the closer you get to the thing that you're trying to imitate, the more you notice the differences. And so people know what a Budweiser is. You know what I mean? And so the closer you get to it, the more people go, that's not a Budweiser. And so that really is the challenge in that part is kind of meeting that expectation.
That was not the answer I was expecting.
Well, what were you expecting?
I don't know. I'm thinking, I would assume like the harder beers would be like the ones like like wild beers, like wild fermented beers. I feel like that would be hard to recreate because you can't have that wild fermentation process.
You can't, but what you can do is you can kind of study the microbiology and replicate.
Oh, wow.
I'll leave it at that. How about that?
Yeah.
That's what Wes does. That's what Wes is doing right now.
That's Wes.
Secret lab.
Nailed it, dude. You totally nailed it right there. Yes. I can just say stuff like that and then turn around and go, right, Wes.
Yeah.
He's probably scowling at me from across the room right now.
Oh man.
So, Paul, tell us once again where we can find more information about your company and your products.
Yeah, well, the best place to go, of course, is our website, and that is www.drinkhairlessdog.com. You can get all our products there. We've got an extensive FAQ for all your questions that you got. We have a wonderful customer service staff, Margaret and Tom. If you ever reach out via social media, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. I think we even got a TikTok thing going these days.
Nice.
But any of those places, you just kind of search Hairless Dog Brewing and you will find us. And if you want to buy direct, the website is the best place to do that. Otherwise, you can find a store locator there if you want to support your local liquor stores, which we very much encourage. That's, yeah. And everything, all of the information about all of our beers can be found there. And of course, reach out, ask us a question. We love talking to people.
Well, thank you all for listening. We'd like to thank Paul for providing us with our beer today. Just to summarize, we had the NA IPA, the NA Citra Lager, and the NA Black Ale. Please make sure you head over to social media everywhere at DAWF Podcast and follow us. Again, head over to drinkhairlessdog.com for them, and I'm assuming everywhere else on social media, it's also Drink Hairless Dog.
That's us.
Don't forget to hashtag follow the email at DAWF Podcast. Send us an email with questions, or send Paul emails too if you have questions for him. And don't forget to head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and a review. And don't forget to tell your friends and your family. Also, head over to Discord if you want to join the chat over there. We have a real-time chat room over there. And don't forget to head over to Patreon as well. For as little as $1 a month, you get a little bit extra drinking alone with friends every week. And with that, Paul, thank you. My name is Tud.
My name's Chris.
And I'm Obert. And remember, if you're drinking alone, do it with friends. I feel way more sober than I normally do.
I know, right?
Sorry.
Let's go.
That outro was a little too clear, I think.
I know, right?
Yeah, I was like, wow, I feel like I really stumble through this 90% of the time. And
My brain is so clear right now.
yeah. I was like, wait, I'm at the end of this already? Why does it go by so much slower most of the time?
Oh, Paul, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks again,
Yes,
Paul.
thank
Right
you.
on. Thank you guys. Really appreciate you guys and appreciate the opportunity. Love talking to your audience. And